You know that feeling, right? You're trying really hard to get learners engaged, to get past just sitting and listening,
Hmm.
especially now with all the tech. Sometimes it feels like we just swapped sitting still for, well, sitting still in front of a screen.
It's a really common challenge. We're all looking for that spark, the thing that makes learning actually stick. And sorting through all the advice out there on education, on tech, it can be overwhelming.
Totally. So that's what this deep dive is about. We're going to try and cut through some of that noise.
Hmm.
We've got this draft article written by a teacher who was right in the middle of this exact problem.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to bring back energy, movement discussion, but with technology, not instead of it.
Exactly. And what's great is this comes from actual classroom experience. This teacher saw learning becoming more sedentary as tech use went up and thought, okay, how do I fix this?
Right, it wasn't just theory, it was a practical need.
Yeah, they basically asked, how can I take those great, active, collaborative strategies I used before all the devices became central and actually blend them with ed tech effectively?
And they mentioned getting ideas from Lead Forward stuff, their instructional strategy playlist.
That's right, which is full of things that get students, moving around, talking to each other. Yeah. So our mission here is to dig into how this teacher did it, what worked, and pull out strategies you can actually use. Strategies for making learning more dynamic and, maybe surprisingly, even easier to manage.
Okay, so where do they start? It sounds like they went back to basics, almost, to those Lead Forward strategies they already knew.
Exactly. Things like musical mix freeze group, where music plays, kids mingle, music stops, they group up and discuss.
Hmm.
Or rock and roll vocabulary.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one. Quick recall, bit of movement.
Right. And pair square share, Texas two-step, cafe conversations,
Yeah.
stuff lots of teachers know and use. Solid foundations.
But the key step, the real insight, wasn't just doing those things and also using tech separately.
That was the crucial part. The question was, how do we make the technology enhance these activities? Not just, tack it on. How do they actually work together?
Makes sense. So the article gets specific about platforms. They mentioned Lumio. How did that fit in?
Yeah, Lumio, it seems like its flexibility was key. The
Yeah.
teacher-paced versus student-paced options.
Ah, okay.
So they could do a quick lead-forward activity, something physical, get the energy up, and then maybe shift to a teacher-paced Lumio thing right after.
Like what kind of thing?
Well, the article mentions interactive bits like game-based activities, digital manipulatives, which are great for visualizing stuff, even those FET simulations for science.
Gotcha. So the physical activity flows right into a digital task that reinforces the same idea.
Precisely. It's connecting the doing and talking with the digital exploring. And they
Yeah.
mentioned being able to model things live on the board was really helpful too, setting expectations clearly.
Yeah, that visual guidance is huge. Okay, so Lumio was one. What about Nearpod? Similar features, right?
Very similar in a lot of ways, but the author really highlighted Nearpod's strength with embedded video. Think YouTube clips or vocabulary.
Right, embedding questions in the video.
Yes, but here's the twist they used. They didn't just have kids watch and answer on their devices.
Ah, okay, what did they do?
They used those lead-forward strategies first. So maybe students do a quick pair square share to discuss a question related to the video before they watch it.
Oh, I see. So they're already thinking about the topic, discussing it.
Exactly. It primes them.
Yeah.
So when they watch the video, it's not passive. They're actively looking for information related to their earlier discussion. Turns watching into like active investigation.
That's smart. It flips the script from just receiving info to actively processing it.
Okay. And Google Classroom was the third one.
Yep. Google Classroom acted sort of like the hub, I guess, for extending the collaboration.
How so?
Students could take the ideas from the lead forward activities, maybe insights from Lumio or Nearpod, and then use Google Tools, Docs, Slides, whatever, to work together more deeply. So combining the face-to-face talk with the digital collaboration.
Right. It helps solidify everything they've learned through all those different interactions. Physical, verbal, digital.
Okay, now, the big question that always comes up with movement and group work, classroom management, people worry it'll be chaos.
Me too. I always think that. But the author tackles this head on. And their argument is pretty compelling, actually.
What did they find?
They found that purposeful movement and discussion, keyword being purposeful, can actually reduce management problems.
Reduce them. How?
Well, the idea is you're giving kids a structured outlet for their energy and their need to talk, instead of that energy bubbling up as off-task behavior.
To channel it.
Exactly. You give it a productive place to go. And this is crucial, it only works if the structure is super clear.
Right. The article stressed having really clear guidelines, expectations, consequences, all laid out before every single activity.
Absolutely.
Oh.
No ambiguity. And then there's the other management piece, the tech itself.
Ah, yes. Charging, storage, logging in.
All of that. You need systems, good storage, clear rules for care, ideally an easy sign-on like SSO.
Single sign-on. Yeah, makes life easier.
And consequences for misuse, of course.
Mm.
But they shared a really neat idea for handling some of this. Student tech ambassadors.
Oh, tell me more. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Basically, training certain students to handle basic troubleshooting, help classmates, maybe manage the charging station or device storage.
I love that. It takes some pressure off the teacher, plus it gives those students responsibility, leadership skills.
Totally. Creates peer support, a sense of ownership. Win-win.
Okay, so we have the strategies, the tech integration, the management. What else is needed for this to really work?
One more huge piece. Professional development.
For the teachers.
Of course.
Yeah.
But not just any PD, right? The article had a point about that too.
Yes. A really important one. If we want teachers to move away from sit and get lectures for their students.
The PD can't be sit and get either. Exactly. You got to walk the talk. The author described PD sessions where the facilitators actually modeled these strategies. They had the teachers do the lead-forward activities, then use Lumio or Nearpod as if they were students.
Oh, that's the best way. Experience it yourself. Feel the flow. See the management in action.
Right. It makes it real, not just abstract. You understand the why and the how much better.
So much more effective. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If you're listening, what's the main takeaway from this teacher's experience?
I think it's that blending movement, talking, and tech isn't just about, like, adding bells and whistles.
Right.
When you do it intentionally, thoughtfully, it can genuinely make learning more engaging, more effective, and maybe even run smoother. These aren't just theories. They're practical things tested in real classrooms.
Yeah, and for you listening, these ideas are adaptable. It doesn't matter if you're super techie or just starting out. Thinking about how you can get people moving, talking, and maybe using some tech tools strategically that can bring new life to almost any learning situation. It's about that active processing, making it stick. More purposeful, better retention.
Definitely. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to mull over.
Yeah.
In this world that's getting more and more digital, how might really deliberately weaving in physical activity and actual conversation, how might that fundamentally change the way learners connect with information, how they actually remember it?
Yeah, that's a big question. Something to definitely chew on.